Zax 427 stared at his reflection in the mirror, hardly recognizing the human face that looked back at him. The advanced holographic disguise felt strange on his blue, scaly skin. He took a deep breath, his 3 hearts beating faster than usual. Today was the day he would start his mission on Earth. As the youngest son of the Andromedan ambassador to the Galactic Council, Zax had begged his father for this opportunity. "I want to study the humans up close," he had said. "There's so much we can learn from them." His father had agreed, but with a warning. "Remember, Zax, humans aren't ready to know about us yet. Keep your true identity secret at all costs." Now, standing in his small dorm room at Greendale Community College, Zax wondered if he had made a mistake. The air felt thick and heavy in his lungs, so different from the thin atmosphere of his home planet. The constant noise of the human world buzzed in his sensitive ears, but there was no turning back now. Zax picked up his backpack, marveling at how clumsy his 5-fingered hands felt. On Andromeda, they had evolved past the need for such primitive appendages. He opened the door and stepped into the crowded hallway. The first thing that hit him was the smell. Hundreds of different scents assaulted his nostrils, making him dizzy. Sweat, perfume, food, and something else he couldn't identify. He stumbled, bumping into a tall, blonde girl. "Watch it, weirdo," she snapped, glaring at him. Zax's translator chip worked overtime, decoding not just her words but the angry tone and body language. He fumbled for the right response. "I apologize, dude," he said uncertainly. The girl rolled her eyes and pushed past him. Zax made a mental note to study human slang more closely. This was going to be harder than he thought. As he made his way to his first class, Introduction to Earth History, Zax couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and fear. He had studied humans for years, but being among them was a completely different experience. Their emotions were so raw, so close to the surface. It both fascinated and terrified him. In the classroom, Zax took a seat near the back, hoping to observe without drawing attention to himself. But as the professor started the lecture, Zax found himself raising his hand again and again, unable to contain his enthusiasm. "Yes, Mr. Zax Smith," the professor said, looking at him with a mixture of interest and annoyance. "I was wondering if we could discuss the socio-political implications of the Industrial Revolution on modern global power structures," Zax asked, forgetting for a moment that he was supposed to be a typical freshman. The room fell silent. Students turned to stare at him, some with open mouths. The professor blinked rapidly. "That's an advanced topic, Mr. Smith. Perhaps we should start with the basics first." Zax slumped in his seat, feeling his face grow hot. Another cultural misstep. He would have to be more careful. As the day wore on, Zax found himself overwhelmed by the complexity of human interactions. The unspoken rules, the social hierarchies, the constant need for verbal communication. It was all so different from the telepathic, harmonious society he had grown up in. By the time he returned to his dorm room that evening, Zax was exhausted. He collapsed on his bed, deactivating his holographic disguise with a sigh of relief. As he lay there, staring at the ceiling, he wondered how he would survive a whole year on this strange planet. But then he remembered why he was here. Not just to study humans, but to learn from them, to bridge the gap between their worlds, and maybe, just maybe, to prepare them for the truth that was coming. Little did Zax know that his mission was about to become far more complicated than he could have ever imagined. For even as he drifted off to sleep, dreaming of home, events were unfolding in the depths of space that would soon thrust him into the center of a galactic conspiracy. A conspiracy that would change the fate of both his people and humanity forever. 2 months into his stay on Earth, Zax 427 had finally started to find his footing. He had learned to blend in better, mastering the art of small talk and even making a few human friends. But his mission to study humanity was about to take an unexpected turn. It was a quiet Saturday evening when Zax received an encrypted message from his father. His 3 hearts raced as he read the contents, his blue scales shifting colors beneath his holographic disguise. "Son," the message read, "I've discovered something terrible. The Galactic Council is not what we thought. They're building warships, weapons beyond imagination. I fear for Earth's safety. Be careful. Trust no one." Zax sat in stunned silence, his mind reeling. The Galactic Council, the very organization his father served, was preparing for war. Against Earth. It didn't make sense. He paced his small dorm room, trying to process this information. The Council had always preached peace and unity among the stars. Why would they need a secret fleet of warships? As dawn broke, Zax made a decision. He couldn't keep this to himself. The humans needed to know, needed to prepare. But how could he tell them without revealing his true identity? Over the next few days, Zax barely slept. He spent every free moment in the college library, researching Earth's defenses and space programs. What he found left him cold. Humanity was woefully unprepared for what was coming. One afternoon, while deep in his research, Zax felt a tap on his shoulder. He jumped, nearly deactivating his holographic disguise in surprise. "Whoa, easy there, Zax," said Emily, one of his classmates. "You okay? You've been acting weird lately." Zax looked at Emily, seeing the concern in her eyes. In that moment, he made a choice that would change everything. "Emily," he said quietly, "can we talk somewhere private? There's something I need to tell you." They found an empty study room. Zax's hand shook as he closed the door. He turned to Emily, took a deep breath, and said, "What I'm about to tell you will sound crazy, but please, hear me out." Over the next hour, Zax told Emily everything. About his true identity, about the Galactic Council, and about the threat looming over Earth. To his surprise, Emily listened without interruption, her eyes growing wider with each revelation. When he finished, Emily was silent for a long moment. Then she said, "Show me. Your real form, I mean." Hesitantly, Zax deactivated his disguise. Emily gasped as the hologram flickered away, revealing Zax's true blue scaled form. "Oh my God," she whispered. "It's all true." "Will you help me?" Zax asked. "The world needs to know, but they'll never believe me on my own." Emily nodded slowly. "This is bigger than anything I could have imagined. But yes, I'll help you. Where do we start?" Over the next few weeks, Zax and Emily worked tirelessly. They gathered every piece of evidence they could find, cross-referencing Zax's knowledge with Earth's astronomical data. They found patterns in deep space signals that matched Zax's description of the Council's communication methods. They uncovered strange anomalies in the movements of distant stars, consistent with the presence of massive, cloaked ships. But their actions didn't go unnoticed. Strange men in dark suits started appearing on campus, asking questions about recent computer access and unusual network activity. "They're onto us," Zax said one night as he and Emily huddled over her laptop. "We need to go public with what we know, now, before it's too late." Emily nodded, her face pale but determined. "I think I know how we can do it. My roommate's brother works for a major news network. If we can get him to listen, to see the evidence." Zax felt a mix of hope and fear. This was it, the moment that would change everything. As he looked at Emily, he realized how much he had come to care for her, for all of humanity. He couldn't let the Council's plan succeed. "Let's do it," he said. As they left the dorm, preparing to meet Emily's contact, neither of them noticed the sleek black car parked across the street. Inside, a figure spoke into a communication device unlike anything on Earth. "The asset has been compromised. The humans know. Initiate Protocol Omega." In the depths of space, hidden from Earth's primitive sensors, a massive fleet of ships stirred to life. The countdown to Earth's reckoning had begun. The city buzzed with its usual nighttime energy as Zax and Emily made their way to the news station. Zax's holographic disguise flickered momentarily as they passed under a streetlight, reminding him of the risk they were taking. "Are you sure about this, Emily?" Zax asked, his voice tight with worry. Emily nodded, her face set with determination. "We have to do this, Zax. The world needs to know." They arrived at the towering news building, its windows glowing like a beacon in the night. Emily's hand shook slightly as she texted her roommate's brother, Mark, a junior producer at the station. Minutes later, Mark appeared in the lobby, looking confused and a little annoyed. "This better be good, Em. I'm in the middle of a big story about." "Trust me," Emily cut in. "What we have is bigger than anything you're working on." Mark raised an eyebrow, but led them to a small, empty conference room. Once inside, Emily turned to Zax and nodded. It was time. Zax took a deep breath and deactivated his hologram. Mark's coffee mug crashed to the floor, shattering into pieces. "What the?" he gasped, stumbling backward. "Please, hear us out," Zax said, holding up his hands in a gesture of peace. Over the next hour, Zax and Emily laid out everything they knew about the Galactic Council's secret warship program. They showed Mark the evidence they had gathered, the deep space signal patterns, the star movement anomalies, and Zax's own testimony. Mark listened in stunned silence, his face growing paler by the minute. When they finished, he sat back in his chair, running his hands through his hair. This is insane," he muttered. "If this is true, it's the biggest story in human history." "It is true," Zax said firmly. "And your people need to be warned." Mark nodded slowly, then straightened up, a look of determination replacing his shock. "Okay, let's do this. But we need to move fast. A story this big, we can't risk anyone stopping us from breaking it." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. Mark called in his most trusted colleagues, swearing them to secrecy until the story was ready. Zax found himself in a brightly lit studio, makeup artists attempting to make his alien features look somewhat human for the camera. As dawn broke, they were ready. Mark stood behind the camera, giving a thumbs up. "We're going live in 3, 2, 1. The red light blinked on, and Zax began to speak. "People of Earth, my name is Zax 427. I come from a planet in the Andromeda galaxy. I bring you a warning of utmost importance. Across the city, then the country, and soon the world, people stopped what they were doing and stared at their screens in disbelief. In homes, offices, and public squares, crowds gathered around televisions and smartphones, watching as an alien revealed the existence of a galactic conspiracy." Zax explained about the Galactic Council, their secret warship program, and the threat it posed to Earth. He showed the evidence, explained the science in simple terms, and pleaded for humanity to take this seriously. As he spoke, the station's phones began ringing off the hook. Social media exploded with reactions, ranging from fear and anger to disbelief and excitement. #AlienMorning and #Galactic threat became the top trending topics worldwide within minutes. But not everyone was caught off guard. In hidden bunkers and secret government facilities, officials who had long suspected the existence of extraterrestrial life scrambled to respond. Emergency meetings were called, military forces were put on high alert, and frantic communications were sent to other world leaders. As the broadcast continued, Zax felt a mix of relief and fear. The truth was out now, for better or worse. He glanced at Emily, who gave him an encouraging nod. Suddenly, the studio lights flickered. The camera feed cut out for a moment, then came back on. Mark frowned, checking his equipment. That's when they heard it. A low, rumbling sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The building began to shake. Zax's eyes widened in horror. "No," he whispered. "They're here. The Council. They've come for Earth." As panic began to spread in the studio, Zax realized that revealing the truth was only the beginning. The real challenge, saving humanity from the Galactic Council's wrath, was just about to start. The world erupted into chaos as the Galactic Council's massive ships appeared in Earth's skies. Their sudden arrival confirmed Zax's warnings and sent waves of panic through cities across the globe. In the news studio, alarms blared as the building shook. Zax, Emily, and Mark rushed to the window, their eyes wide with disbelief. Hovering above the city was an enormous ship, easily the size of 10 football fields. Its dark, metallic surface seemed to absorb light, making it look like a hole in the sky. "We need to get out of here," Zax said urgently. "The council will be looking for me." As if on cue, the studio doors burst open. Men in black suits and sunglasses stormed in, their weapons drawn. But they weren't council agents. They were from Earth's own secret services. "Zax 427, the lead agent called out. "We need you to come with us. Now." Emily stepped in front of Zax protectively. "Why should we trust you?" The agent lowered his weapon slightly. "Because right now, we're humanity's best shot at survival, and we need his help." Zax nodded slowly. "Okay, but Emily and Mark come too. They're part of this now." The agent hesitated, then agreed. They were quickly ushered out of the building and into a waiting helicopter. As they lifted off, they could see the chaos unfolding below. People ran through the streets, cars jammed the roads, and in the distance, military jets screamed towards the alien ships. "Where are you taking us?" Mark shouted over the noise of the helicopter. "To a secure facility," the agent replied. "We've been preparing for this possibility for years." As they flew, Zax explained more about the Galactic Council to the agents. He told them about the Council's structure, their advanced technology, and what he knew of their military capabilities. "But why?" Emily asked. "Why would they build these warships in secret?" Zax shook his head. "I don't know. The Council has always preached peace. This doesn't make sense." The helicopter landed on a hidden platform that opened up from a mountainside. They were rushed inside, down long corridors until they reached a bustling command center. Screens covered the walls, showing news feeds from around the world and data streams that Zax recognized as deep space scans. A stern-looking woman in a military uniform approached them. "I'm General Chen. Zax 427. We need everything you know about these ships. Weaknesses, communication methods, anything that could give us an edge." Zax nodded, his mind racing. "I'll do what I can, but you need to understand. Earth's technology is centuries behind the Council's. A direct confrontation would be catastrophic." General Chen's face hardened. "We don't have much choice. They're positioning their ships over major cities worldwide. We need options." As they talked, a young technician called out, "General, we're receiving a transmission from the alien ships. It's on all frequencies." "Put it on screen," Chen ordered. The main screen flickered, and a face appeared that made Zax gasp. It was High Counselor Vex, the leader of the Galactic Council. His silver skin gleamed, and his 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "People of Earth," Vex's voice boomed, translated into every human language simultaneously. "Your primitive world has been found guilty of harboring a fugitive and accessing restricted galactic knowledge. Surrender Zax 427 and all associated humans immediately, or face the consequences." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Zax. Emily grabbed his hand. "We can't let you go," she whispered. Zax squeezed her hand back, his mind whirling. Something wasn't right. The Council he knew would never act this way. And why were they calling him a fugitive? "General," Zax said slowly, "I think there's more going on here than we realize. The Council I knew would never threaten an entire planet like this. Something has changed." General Chen nodded grimly. "Well, whatever's going on, we need a plan. Fast. Because I don't think they're going to wait long for an answer." As if to punctuate her words, the building shook as a distant explosion rocked the air. On the screens, they could see one of the alien ships firing on a military base, reducing it to rubble in seconds. The message was clear. Time was running out. Humanity's response in the next few moments could determine the fate of the entire planet. And Zax, the alien student who had only wanted to learn about humans, now found himself at the center of a galactic crisis. The command center buzzed with frantic activity. Zax, Emily, and Mark huddled around a table with General Chen and her top advisors, desperately trying to find a way out of this crisis. "We can't just hand you over," Emily said, her voice firm despite the fear in her eyes. Zax nodded, his blue scales shifting colors with stress. "And even if you did, there's no guarantee they'd leave Earth alone." General Chen frowned, studying the holographic display of Earth and the Galactic Council's ships. "Our weapons are barely scratching their shields. We need another option." Suddenly, Mark snapped his fingers. "Wait a minute. Zax, you said your father discovered the Council's secret, right? What if he left some kind of evidence or failsafe?" Zax's eyes widened. "You're right. My father always prepared for the worst. He might have hidden something in the data he sent me." They quickly set up a secure terminal for Zax. His fingers flew over the keyboard, accessing hidden files and decrypting layers of code. The others watched anxiously, jumping at every distant explosion that shook the facility. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, Zax let out a triumphant cry. "I found something. Its coordinates and a message." He read aloud. "Son, if you're reading this, the worst has happened. Go to these coordinates. You'll find a ship and the truth. Trust no one but yourself. The Council is not what we thought." Emily leaned in, excitement breaking through her fear. "A ship? Like a spaceship?" Zax nodded slowly. "It must be. But these coordinates, they're on the far side of Earth's moon." General Chen straightened up. "We can get you there. We have a secret base and advanced shuttles. But we'll need a distraction to get past the Council's ships." As they began to plan, alarms blared throughout the facility. A young soldier burst into the room, his face pale. "General, they found us. Council ships are approaching fast." Chen cursed under her breath. "We're out of time. Zax, Emily, Mark, you three need to go. Now, we'll cover your escape and try to buy you some time. But what about you? And everyone here?" Emily protested. The general's face was grim but determined. "We'll do what we've trained for. Protect our planet. Your mission is humanity's best hope now." Everything happened in a blur after that. Zax, Emily, and Mark were rushed to a hangar deep within the mountain. A sleek, black shuttle waited for them, its engines already humming to life. As they strapped in, they could hear the sounds of battle erupting above. The shuttle's pilot, a young woman with steely eyes, turned to them. "Hold on tight. This is going to be one hell of a ride." The hangar doors opened, and they shot out into chaos. The sky was filled with Galactic Council ships, their weapons firing at Earth's desperately outmatched defenders. But the small, agile shuttle slipped through the battle, using the confusion to mask its escape. As they broke through the atmosphere, Emily gasped at the sight of Earth below, beautiful and fragile. Zax took her hand, his alien features soft with empathy. "We'll save it," he promised. Somehow. The journey to the moon was tense. They watched helplessly as reports came in of major cities being attacked, of Earth's military struggling to mount any kind of defense. But finally, they approached the coordinates Zax's father had left. Hidden in a deep crater on the far side of the moon. They found it. A ship unlike anything Zax had ever seen. It was sleek, almost organic in its design, with swirling patterns that seemed to move across its surface. "That's not Galactic Council technology," Zax said in awe as they approached. Inside, they found a single room with a holographic interface. As soon as Zax touched it, a message sprang to life, a recording of his father. "Zax, if you're seeing this, then the Galactic Council has shown its true colors. What I discovered shook me to my core. The council we serve is a lie, a front for something far older and more sinister. This ship is the key to stopping them, but using it comes at a great risk. The choice is yours, my son. The fate of not just Earth, but our entire galaxy may rest on what you do next." The message faded, leaving Zax, Emily, and Mark in stunned silence. The ship hummed around them, alive with potential and danger. Earth hung in the blackness outside, beautiful and threatened. And somewhere out there, the true power behind the Galactic Council waited, its dark plans now set in motion. Zax looked at his human friends, then back at the ship's controls. It was time to make a choice that would change everything. Zax stared at the ship's controls, his 3 hearts racing. The fate of Earth, and possibly the entire galaxy, rested on his decision. Emily and Mark watched him anxiously, waiting for his move. "We have to use it," Zax said finally. "Whatever the risk, we can't just sit here while Earth burns." Emily nodded, her face set with determination. "I'm with you, Zax. Whatever happens." Mark looked pale, but managed a weak smile. "Well, I always wanted to be part of a big story. Guess it doesn't get bigger than saving the galaxy." Zax placed his hand on the ship's main interface. Instantly, the entire vessel hummed to life. Lights pulsed along its walls, and a holographic display filled the air around them. "Welcome, Zax 427, a soft voice said. "I am the ship's eye. Your father called me Nova. How may I assist you?" Zax took a deep breath. "Nova, we need to stop the Galactic Council's attack on Earth. Can you help us?" "Affirmative," Nova replied. "This vessel is equipped with technology far beyond that of the Galactic Council. However, I must warn you, using these systems may alert forces even more dangerous than the Council." Emily stepped forward. "What forces? What's really going on here?" Nova's voice turned grave. "The Galactic Council is a puppet, controlled by an ancient race known as the Shadows. They have manipulated galactic civilization for millennia, instigating conflicts to keep younger races weak and divided." The humans gasped, and even Zax felt his scales ripple with shock. "But why?" he asked. "To prevent any civilization from growing powerful enough to challenge them," Nova explained. "Your father discovered their existence and built this ship using forgotten technology to combat them." Mark ran his hands through his hair. "This is insane. We're not prepared for this kind of fight." Zax turned to his friends, his alien eyes filled with a mix of fear and resolve. "Maybe not, but we're the only ones who can do anything right now. We have to try." Emily squared her shoulders. "Okay, so what's the plan?" Nova's holographic display shifted, showing the Earth and the Council's fleet. The Council ships are controlled by a central command vessel. If we can disable it, the entire fleet will be thrown into disarray. "And how do we do that?" Mark asked. "This ship is equipped with a quantum disruptor," Nova said. "It can temporarily disable any technology within its range. But to use it, we'll need to get close to the command ship." Zax nodded. "Then that's what we'll do. Nova, can you get us back to Earth undetected?" "Affirmative." Initiating stealth protocols. The ship hummed louder, and through the view screen, they watched as a shimmering field enveloped them. Stars seemed to bend around the ship as it moved, rendering them nearly invisible. As they approached Earth, the scale of the destruction became clear. Smoke rose from major cities, and debris from destroyed satellites cluttered the orbit. The Council's ships loomed over it all, dark and menacing. "There," Nova said, highlighting a massive ship at the center of the fleet. "That's the command vessel." Zax took the controls, guiding their ship carefully through the chaos of battle. Earth's remaining forces were putting up a valiant fight, but they were hopelessly outgunned. As they neared the command ship, alarms blared. "Warning," Nova announced. "We've been detected. Council ships are moving to intercept." "Get ready with that quantum disruptor," Zax said, his voice tense. We'll only have one shot at this. Emily and Mark braced themselves as Zax pushed the ship into a series of wild maneuvers, dodging enemy fire. The command ship loomed larger in their view, its weapons powering up. "Now, Nova," Zax yelled. A pulse of energy erupted from their ship, washing over the command vessel. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the lights on the massive ship flickered and died. The effect rippled through the rest of the fleet. Ships stopped in mid-attack, their weapons going dark. Some began to drift aimlessly, their engines failing. It worked, Emily cried, hugging Zax tightly. But their celebration was short-lived. A new alarm sounded, and Nova's voice was urgent. "Warning. Anomaly detected. Spatial rift forming." They watched in awe and terror as space itself seemed to tear open. From the rift emerged a ship that dwarfed even the Council's massive vessels. Its surface was black as night, absorbing all light around it. "Shadows detected," Nova announced. "They're coming." Zax, Emily, and Mark shared a look of determination tinged with fear. They had won the battle against the Council, but the true war was just beginning. And the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The massive shadow ship loomed before them, a void in the starry expanse of space. Zax, Emily, and Mark stared in awe and terror at the view screen, their earlier victory against the Galactic Council now seeming small in comparison. "Nova," Zax said, his voice tight. "What are we up against?" The AI's voice was grim. The shadows possessed technology far beyond even this ship's capabilities. Direct confrontation would be inadvisable. Emily's face was pale but determined. "Then what can we do? We can't just give up." As if in response to her words, a beam of dark energy shot out from the shadow ship, narrowly missing them. The entire ship shuddered from the near miss. "Evasive maneuvers," Zax yelled, his hands flying over the controls. Their ship danced through space, barely avoiding the barrage of energy beams. Mark gripped his seat tightly. "We can't keep this up forever. We need a plan." Suddenly, Nova's voice cut through the chaos. "I'm detecting a transmission from Earth. It's on all frequencies." "Put it through," Zax commanded. The view screen split, showing the battle outside and a familiar face. General Chen, looking battered but unbowed. "Zax, Emily, Mark," she said, "we saw what you did. The Council fleet is in disarray. But now, this new threat. We're picking up similar ships appearing all over the galaxy. Whatever you're facing up there, it's bigger than just Earth now." Zax's mind raced. "General, the Shadows have been manipulating galactic civilization for eons. They're the real enemy behind the Council." Chen nodded grimly. "Then we need to stand together. Not just humanity, but every race in the galaxy. We're patching you through to all the comm systems we can reach." The view screen expanded, showing faces of various alien races, some familiar to Zax, others completely unknown. All looked frightened, confused, but with a glimmer of hope. Zax took a deep breath and began to speak. "People of the galaxy, I know you're scared. The Shadows have kept us divided, weakened through the Galactic Council's manipulation. But now we have a chance to stand together. United, we have strength they can't imagine." As Zax spoke, Emily noticed something on the ship's readouts. "Zax," she whispered, "look at this. Every time you mention unity, there's a fluctuation in the shadow ship's energy field." Mark's eyes widened in realization. "That's it. They feed on division, on fear. Unity weakens them." Zax nodded, understanding dawning. He continued his speech with renewed vigor, emphasizing cooperation and shared strength. As he did, more and more ships appeared on their scanners, vessels from countless alien races, joining the fight. The shadow ship fired again, but this time a dozen different energy shields sprang up to deflect the blast. The United Fleet began to return fire, their weapons synchronized in a way the Shadows had never faced before. "Nova," Zax said, "the quantum disruptor. Could it work on the shadow ship?" "Uncertain. Nova replied. But combined with the energy from the United Fleet, it's possible. Emily grabbed Zax's hand. It's our best shot. Zax nodded. All ships, he broadcast, focus your fire on our target. We have one chance to end this. In a dazzling display of unity, every ship in the makeshift fleet fired at once. At the same moment, Zax activated the quantum disruptor. The combined energy struck the shadow ship like a supernova. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent scream of rent space-time, the massive vessel began to collapse in on itself. It's creating a singularity. Nova warned. We need to get clear. Zax piloted their ship away as the shadow vessel imploded, taking with it the threat that had loomed over the galaxy for millennia. As they watched, reports came in from across the stars, other shadow ships disappearing, their hold on the galaxy finally broken. In the aftermath, as the United Fleet hung in space around Earth, Zax, Emily, and Mark looked at each other in stunned silence. They had done it. Against all odds, they had saved not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. General Chen's voice came through once more. I don't know how to thank you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. You've given us all a future. Zax smiled, looking at his human friends. No, he said, we did it together. And that's how we'll move forward. Not as separate races, but as a united galaxy. As cheers erupted across every communication channel, Zax realized his simple mission to study humanity had led to something far greater. He had not only learned about humans, but had helped forge a new destiny for all sentient beings. The stars seemed to shine brighter as their ship turned back towards Earth. A new era of peace, unity, and exploration was dawning. And Zax, along with his human friends, would be there to see it unfold.